IFC model, or make an IFC file, which I just call Modno, just to, I don't put it into the same file, I've not come so far, but we make another IFC file of it. And it's okay, it's just say that here it's written out without any failure. And then we can put that information forward to the lecture partner or any other partner which is interested to see that information. Thank you.
So, that was just to show a very special niche, and but again, a commercial product in daily use, and now with a prototype or beta version with IFC. You might ask, how do we gather all this information into one model? And a lot of this different software can work with partial models, can merge the results together. You can use model servers, all kinds of technologies. But John Arthur from Octaga will just now show us something. He will use the data we have created and do something with it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to do something with it. What I've got here is a viewer which is connected directly to an IFC model server. What I've done is I've retrieved Munkaru dataset directly from the model server and loaded it into the viewer. And this data includes architectural information, structural information, electrical information, HVAC, ventilation. So this is essentially all the different disciplines that you saw previously in the other sections. And what I can do is fully navigate the 3D model. So I can zoom and I can go closer to. I can actually go inside the model and navigate inside. And I can also peel away layers of the model. So if I want to actually look at all this data that we have in the system, I can actually make the walls invisible and then actually go inside the house. As you can see, there's a lot of elements here. Here we can see the pipe work, we can see the bathroom fittings, we can see all the electrical elements, all the switches, all the lighting. And so it's all the data that we saw previously in the other sections, and it's all available in the system.
Pretty impressive view, isn't it?
So let's go back to the outside. What we can actually do is also remove the roofing elements and the floors and have the house completely naked. So there you have a naked Munkaru. Let's just put some elements back, put the walls back. We can actually fly through the middle of the house. So here we go, flying. Okay. So as you saw, there was actually some element of the model that isn't actually present here, and that's the struts. So what we can do is go back to the model server, and then we can select the struts, and we can actually retrieve them directly from the model server. The model server is actually running locally on my machine, but it could actually also run over the internet, and has now been added to the scene. Okay, so let's have a look at the strut elements. If we go a bit closer, we can see that there's some pipe work going straight through a strut here, and that doesn't look entirely good.
Okay, who's paying? Trond Inge or Lassie?
What we need to do now is find out which heads are going to roll for making this mistake. So let's assume that the struts are okay, but the guys who did the pipe work messed up. So let's try and retrieve some more information about this pipe here. So if we click on the pipe itself, we're sending a query back to the, let's get a bit closer actually. We're sending a query back to the database, which is running in the background. Okay, oops, looks like the server's not entirely happy. Okay, but essentially what we can do now is find out what kind of element that was. And that was actually a flow segment element. And we can highlight that flow segment element like this. And what we can now do is automatically generate the IFC elements that are in question here, the relevant IFC elements, and generate a web page which contains these IFC elements and export them so that we can actually make this data available in an enterprise environment. So we go back to the... So if we now open a web page, obviously this has all been pre-prepared, but essentially what I'm doing now is I've exported the IFC files in question with the global unique ID, which is essentially the ID of the element. Okay. It's under here somewhere. So what I now have is embedded in the web page the highlighted offending flow element, and I also have information that I need to retrieve in order to find out who's responsible for making that element. So that's essentially the owner information, and that's all available now. It's actually available in the model server. Yeah. Again, we're sending a query directly to the model server, and we're retrieving information about who that owner was. So that's actually an owner ID. So again, this is an example which has been made just for the demonstration purposes. But from that, we can actually find out which vendor is responsible for making that element.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we have a lot of information. So what? Can we use this information for something? And I think the answer is maybe. And Torsten Alf Jensen from Ramboll will tell us what he thinks we can do if we're lucky. No? You're supposed to be number 10. 1-0.
Number 10 it says.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. You have to really speed up now, but...
Rambøll is a system for many things. I will concentrate on the operation and maintenance of buildings. But it is meant to be used during the whole lifetime of a building. In the beginning, you might call it a project web or whatever. It's entirely web-based. That means all data one place and access to data from any place where you have an internet connection. And the idea is that all different actors use the system directly. That means the sewer contractor who needs a drawing takes it directly from the system. And that means that the user interface is very simple. And it's different from actor to actor. The system, it is a standard system which has been sold for about 4 years, but what I'm going to show you here is a prototype. And for that reason, it might be more and more Danish when we go into the system. Let's try to show it. This example is a municipality in Denmark, and the idea is that all the estates and all the buildings is in the system, so there are access to every building part in the whole municipality. And so if I go to estates, I will have administration estates. There are a number of those, and so on. Let me show you museums. There are 2 museums, and I will make a third one in a moment. So let's shut that down. So now I'll try to import Munkerud, which we have seen all the time. So I will open it, this one, and import it, and then I have to tell where it goes in the system. I've already told that this is the destination of the database, but then I have to tell where in the system. And as I said, I will put it as a new museum. Import. And then it tells me that now one estate, one building with 4 floors and 74 rooms and 221 building parts has been imported. To be sure that there isn't anything in the cache, I want to start the system again. And now I hope there is a third one here. Yes, Mongowood. And it will show up with some information. I'll go directly to the house and to the floor. There are a number of floors, the 4 floors, and then to the room. And then I have the whole, all the rooms here. And this is, in fact, a small preview generated from the model, which only shows this floor with a specific room highlighted. But remember, it's based on the internet, so if you don't want this model, you only get the small preview. But I can open it, and then I will see it in the Octega viewer, which you just saw. And sort it out, so you only have the floor where the specific room is. And you can do all the normal thing with the viewer. And the idea is, of course, that now you add maintenance information to the objects. We can go to the floor and look at some building parts. Doors, for instance, there's a whole number of doors. In practice, you will group them for maintenance purpose, but here we have the list of all the doors. Let's take one and try to add some information. And a component on the door could be paint. And we could describe which type of paint it is, save, and then tell which activities we need for this component, painting, for instance. And the cost will be 600 Danish crowns, and let's say next time in a year from now, and not after, and I think, and let's do it every 4th year. And those information is now properties of the objects. So in the system, I could go to the building and right away look at a maintenance plan. Let's say from this year and 10 years. And let's look at years, and let's look at everything. There is only this one thing. Aha, I know I made a mistake. I made it an operation and not a, yeah, that was a mistake. It is, of course, maintenance and not operation. But here we will have it in the operation plan. Or you could make a budget or whatever.
Now you're into the general facility management issues. And the point is when you start doing facility management, to get the data in and start working with it, that's a major cost. It takes a lot of time, costs a lot of money. I mean, he should probably pay the architect, or what? Someone should pay it. But we have now seen from, actually from having a piece of land, wondering where the playground should be and where to build residential area, factories, etc., and to facility management. But we want to do even more. Because it's not only the authorities that are interested in the building or the model just for approval and that, but the fire chief in Oslo, he is very eager to get his hands on this for a number of purposes. And one of them is, of course, to be able to simulate. It's supposed to be you. To simulate difficult situations, especially in complex buildings, and also how the scene may look like when you come to a place where there's a fire. So if we can get this green Kermit machine to show a picture, it should be up and running.
Er du sikker på at det er riktig? Der, ja.
Yes.
På en annen skjerm. Men jeg spørs om jeg kan... Den står der, den. Og jeg skal ikke ha ekstern, selvfølgelig.
Okay.
Nei, jeg kan ikke gjøre noe. Hva skal det da?
Okay.
Hey.
Here we go. Would you like to say something?
Okay. I'm working in cooperation with the fire department in Oslo, and in personal, the fire chief is involved himself. He was here yesterday presenting this concept, actually. We have several models here. I'm just going to show you Munkerud, because this is the main focus today. What we have done here is we have taken Munkerud into a German game engine and using game technology to make a visualization of Munkerud. And what I'm going to show you here is the reason why this model doesn't look very nice comparing to other games is that this model is just the way it is, that I got it from Selvåg. I have not put textures on and nice details, but the model is still here. And you can go into all the rooms and, well, look around. Anyway, the important purpose about using 3D models and IFC models in particular is that the fire chief or the fire department in Oslo would like to use this tool for scenario simulations when it comes to rescue and fire operations. Okay, so what I can do here is that first of all I can put on some smoke maybe. We can go into a room and I can, yeah, we can make a smoke happening here. Maybe some more smoke. And we can go outside, have a look what happens. In a way, this could be a fire. The main purpose for this software is that it's going to be so easy to use that you don't need any kind of education. Okay, let's put in a fire. Let's go outside again, see what happens. Okay, this is a huge fire. This is a little bit bigger than normal. Anyway.
What's the normal fire?
It's the fire chief is actually the one normally doing these presentations. I don't know very much about fires, but he says it's too big. Okay. Then, so the main purpose for the fire chief is now that he can train his men. Okay, if you arrive to Munkerud, what will you do if it looks like this? Okay, and then we can also put in all kinds of objects: fire trucks, trees, people, injured people, children. Let's put in a fire truck. That should be okay. Just put it like that. And this is a very accurate fire truck compared to how it looks in real, okay? The scale is perfect, and of course Munkerud is perfect, as we know. Okay. And then we can, we can put out all kinds of objects to kind of simulate the situation. But even a more interesting situation is that if there is a fire at Munkerud, the fire chief will actually let his men have the 3D model in the cars, and before we go in with smoke divers, we can go into the building before because you don't see very much, so we can let the people get to, or the smoke divers get to know the building much more or much better before they actually go into here, because all the rooms are here, as you know, and all kind of, yeah, small, corny, funny places to hide. Maybe there's a children or a child missing. You could go looking for him here, or kind of get to know the building. Of course, Munkerud is probably a little bit too small for this kind of situation, but if we have the hospital that we saw earlier today, I know that the fire chief is very interested in having this hospital in this simulation software. It would be very kind of good to be able to go into the hospital before you go in physically, because it's too dangerous. And also, the last reason for using the software is that after a situation like this, you can recreate the situation, both for journalists and also during trials in courtroom. And it's a very important tool to communicate for people how this is actually working. And as I said, the main focus is that the fire chief does this by himself, so he has been presenting the software in Geneva and in Helsinki and other places completely without my presence, and that is actually a very important thing.
Fantastic. So, wow. I don't think we need to say too much. I think you saw it all. I think it was, we were very skeptical with the switches, as I told. The other things I was sure it was going to work, and it did, as always. I don't know, we are a bit over time, but I hope this was kind of an eye-opener for many of you. We've seen a lot of different applications, and the fact is that we could put even more up here, but we didn't have the time. So I think the message is that we can start using this. Building smart is not something in the future, it's now. And I think that's something that you should really reflect on, because all of these softwares, or at least most of them, are used in daily practice, at least in Norway. And the users, unfortunately, doesn't even know they can handle IFC, but they can. And you don't have to do the whole thing from the terrain to the fire exercise. But of course, we've seen also within Lector, just within small processes, in information exchange between processes, you can actually use already today. And I think this is the message. We don't have to do everything. We aim for everything, but we can also start with the small steps. So I think that was it. Would you like to add anything, John?
No, I think Bjorn's right. You can do it now. There's no excuse. You can see how easy it is. And look at the advantages of just the structural. I think Tekla's structural progress is just absolutely fabulous. You import and you get that whole structural submodel. You get the building services model. You can coordinate, you can simulate. You see how Thomas did the energy simulation. Instead of arguing about where all the data was and why the 2D drawings are on the wrong layer, we get down to saying, well, let's try a different window performance. Let's put in different glazing. Let's choose a different proportion. We optimise the design, we refine the design, we understand the building better. I think the progress we've made in 1 year is absolutely amazing, and I think we have to thank this Norwegian team for really putting in a fabulous effort and showing us what's possible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to see all these handsome guys presenting what the IFC can do and the software can do. We are still, we have two small sessions left, and we saw that Munkerud now was burnt down, so maybe next time we have to have a new project. So our next speaker is Mr. Jon Rønning. We have now seen that there's a lot of research effort and innovation effort that have been put together already, but I think we're still not we do still have to have innovation and research projects, and that is what Jon is going to tell us a little bit about, the future challenge. I guess we... Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. It's nice to see that still people are here. I think it's fair to say that the technology or the development these days are technology driven. That means it's a challenge for the industry to cope with this technology. It's as an example, I would say that it's extremely important that architects do really follow this development to be able to take care of their professions, for instance. And I think the architecture of the hospital that was presented earlier today is a good example. It's also fair to say that the process, the development process, is pretty international. And I would like to start this presentation showing you a model that we have used for 2 years with regard to international cooperation. And I think this model and these principles is useful to also IAI participants and this kind of audience as we have today. You could imagine that this meeting or the IAI environment, regard that as a plaza. Out from that plaza, avenues are situated, and in the avenues you have seen during these days very good examples of state-of-the-art examples in the industry. And it's also important to realize that the research and development project has to take place on this plaza, and it has to be a very close cooperation between the research and development environments and the industry, as you also have seen during these days. There are other plazas as well. For instance, this one, European Construction Technology Platform. More or less the same issues are focused around in the world. Other countries do have their plazas, and it's important, the principle that I had in my mind and I would like to deal with you is that between the plazas, between the research and development project, it has to be a cooperation between the institutions. And it has to be cooperation worldwide between companies on the commercial terms between the countries. And they have to support each other. The reason for this is that development is very technology driven, as I said, and it's not too easy to understand how to utilize this technology. So, and on the other hand, the research and development people, they could enter into dead ends here and there due to the fact that they don't know too much about the industry. So that is the reason why this has to go hand in hand. For instance, we have over the last 1.5 years, together with Snøhetta and the Hydro and Siemens on the Norwegian side, and Future House on the Chinese side, established contracts where the foundation institutions or the financial institutions is Innovation Norway and the Norwegian Research Council, and that is the industrial commercial links, and between the two institutions, research institutions, China Academy of Building Research and Environment here in Norway, agreement will be signed next week. And this is one example how to increase and support the interoperability to reach the goals that are defined around. And those goals are reduce cost and increase quality. And the strategy is simply use these ICT tools, but don't forget about the industry transformation. Maybe that is the biggest challenge. To us, it's a matter of communicating between technical people and administrative people. It's a matter of change of roles and responsibilities. Several times during this session, who is going to pay this one? Who has the responsibility for this red pipe? So new roles, new responsibilities, new contractual models, new execution models has to be looked into. We have learned over the last 10 to 20 years a lot of risk management, and we do have a lot of systems and programs and knowledge with regard to that, how to secure that the bottom line is not red. I think that in this process that we enter into or have started is extremely important regarding uncertainties, not only regard the risk. This is core business for many of us, but we have to dare to look into the opportunities. And this is not that straightforward. Industrialization is a keyword, and I think we have just seen the beginning. We have 50 years of experiences within this field, but the development from now on will be quite different and more extensive and worldwide. It's a challenge within the international operational attitude and approach. It's a challenge within logistics and information technology. It's a challenge within culture, architecture. This fact that the standards that we have discussed these days are open, that means the international approach or cooperation is also more easy with regard to get access to information. In this sketch, we have on the left side the technical world, and the right side the administrative world. And I think it's a challenge to make this filter in between those worlds to make sure that it's possible to make the right vital information accessible to the right person. And a lot of research has to take place to obtain that one, because we are overloaded with information today. It's an overload problem. And I have mentioned here some aspects that we have to look into. Advanced search technologies, artificial intelligence, genetic programming, advanced texture analysis, information structure. I have put up on the user owners management side that we really have to look into opportunities. And this is, I think this is the most difficult one, because it has to do with change of culture in the industry. The tasks that we have addressed from the Norwegian side is standardized product accessibility. That is one major area. A user-friendly interface for the library, and knowledge-based applications made available to you through the IFC formats. So it's a lot to do, and I think it's fair to say also that even if it's an impressive seminar, these 2 days, it's a way to go. But I think it's right to say that, and remember that we don't have to wait until we see the next generation of the industry. As long as we participate in the process, we stepwise and each day get more and more competitive. And this is maybe a good message, but being outside this development, that is really dangerous. Thank you.
Okay. I'll give the word to Dr. Howard Bell. He will just show a little bit about a short thing about one of the things that we need to solve in the future. Are you? Hvilken knapp skal den være på? 2? That's the technology in the afternoon. 3, yes. Okay.
This is probably, hello? No. It's on, okay, there we go, thank you. I want to just really quickly here talk about the future. As a research institute, you just heard from Mr. Running. I work with him and we try to figure out what we can tackle as the next challenges. One of the things that we need to do is we are in an international conference in a global community. So the language and understanding what we're actually talking about within these IFC files is very important. Right here is a view into our dictionary, the library that Mr. Running was talking about, that we have available now at barbie.no. And as you can see here, this is a plasterboard with some geometric properties and other properties along. If I click this button, you'll get the Norwegian version of the same thing. Everything is translated into Norwegian. This is what we will use when I will use this application from EPM technology that you have seen earlier today, going down in the building and looking at a specific wall. What I want to look at here is the properties related to this wall. And there are a lot of them down here. This one, for example, is the plate thickness. I go in and change this. And you can see the value here is changing. This is within the building information model running live on my computer right here. My point is I want to make an order into the global community of the products that satisfy the requirements that I put on the generic products I have in my model. I want to go out and send a question, a query somewhere that has these products, and I want to get back, we have these products that satisfy your requirements. So I'm going to generate a file, a standard IFC XML file that I will send to an e-commerce site that will figure out what kind of products are available to me.
This is an e-commerce site for one of the biggest vendors here in Norway, and we take this EFC XML file into the web store using the IFD identity for the properties, and there I can make my day fresh price, pick up my documentation about, and place the order into the ERP system or using EDI, EDIFACT, things like that. I import the EFC file with EFD information. I haven't the concept word, but I have this alphanumerical identities that gives the quality. I have two products that match the property I want for this product. So I choose one packet of this, put it into my store bag, and here I can go into to get information from the ERP systems. I get my price. I can pick up product information. Take it out of the building place. And then place the order. And if I have some logistic information I want to send with the order, I can put it here, or I can place it to my part. And then we have the bridge between this IFC and model-based world back to the old business IRP systems, and we can reuse all this investment we have already today.
A brief view into the future coming next to a store right near you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And this is exciting that we, from a quantity takeout from the IFC model, we can import it into existing purchasing solution that is online today and use the information from the IFC model. So now we're even before schedule, so that it's worth an applause, I guess. But we still have one session left. And I give the word back to Lars Christensen.
Hello. Hello. Oh, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes. I think, Patrick, we go up there, both of us. I think maybe the reason for us being so fast today is maybe that it's something about IFC, maybe. What we have agreed upon is basically that we thought that we should have a Q&A session now, but as there are at least 200 people left in the audience, we thought that we could then continue for many hours. So it's actually better that most of you go away with some questions, we have decided, because they can act as a small piece of stone in the shoe. It's irritating you a little bit. So what we then have decided on is that I would start to do a little bit of a wrap-up, and then Patrick would end this session. 2, okay. There we are. Okay. This is just in time. It's not IFC. Okay, it was mentioned that we saw Munkerud burning. But as you all know, there is a story about the bird of Phoenix. And I think that maybe the next time you will see a better Munkerud house, because it was quite ugly today. So next time, I think we'll dress up Munkerud a little bit more properly. What I think that we have, or I hope that you have seen, is this idea about low friction information logistics. That when the information starts to become extremely fast available, we need to think about new processes, new skills, and new prices and new products. And that's something that you can, if you're not a CEO, you can actually challenge your CEOs to start thinking about that so that you can work using IFC. Because there is no reason for not starting to use IFC as of today. Another comment that was also presented today was actually that some see that it may be that we have more time for interesting tasks, meaning that we, by using IFC, we take away a lot of the trivial tasks in the world. And that is positive. Then there is an issue that has been coming up the last days, is there seem to be some people that think there is no such thing as one model. And from some aspects, I could agree on that. But I think that if we start to develop many models, we are actually creating a Babylonian confusion. Because there is a tremendous potential if we agree on the topics and the definition, or the words and the definition of those words in the industry. And that has nothing to do with technology or software. It's a benefit that we can use it in software development too. But for the quality of the projects, it's unbelievably valuable. So there is no alternative to IFC, in my opinion.
I agree.
Going to the demo, I think that we have seen that there is a need for workflow improvement. If you saw some of these guys, they spent maybe 1 second on doing the real interesting stuff, and maybe 20 seconds finding the file and saving the file. So workflow is ripe for somebody to start doing something. The other thing which I think is important, which we should remember, is that when these guys implement IFC, that means that if one of those softwares are not good enough and there's a competitor, we can ask the one, please step down from the table, you're not good enough, we want another software. And within 1 second, there is a new software vendor. That is really a challenge for the software developers, that you're not longer able to compete on dirty tricks and handcuffs. Actually, you should not give me the applause. You should give those software vendors applause. These are real sportsmen, because they believe for a true, an open fight based on an open competition based on functionality. All those vendors up there, they are open for competition. Another thing which was not so clear today, but when you can imagine when Björn did this kind of demo alone, and then he made a comment which actually made me think a little bit, because then he was running back and forth and doing everything. And then he's complaining, oh, I'm not an electrical engineer, I'm not an architect, I'm not this, I'm not that. That made me think about that maybe one of the challenges that we have now is, what kind of person do we need? What kind of skill set, what kind of experience do we need in order to really use the new features that we have available? And it may be that both the skill set and experience, and also what are the sociological consequences. Because we must be very, very aware of the fact that if we now say, oh, there is a new breed, the BIM modelers, they're going to be paid twice of everybody else in the office. Be aware, that's not the way to do it. So really, for the CEOs to think about what are the implications for us as a company when we need a new kind of person, that's important. One idea which is down here is maybe that this is the foundation for a more team-oriented approach. So instead of these people looking at you, maybe they should have turned around and be looking up on the screen, so that they could have a discussion where the expertise, their individual expertise, was actually exchanged. So the architect could say, oh, I want something like that. And then a structural engineer could say, oh, you can get something like this. and then it could be something in the middle, maybe. Okay, I think there is another reflection I have, and that is basically that let us stop talking about test, pilot, prototype. Maybe it's working for us, but I'm not sure if it's working for me. Let's cut the crap. I almost said do it, not do, or use. That's key. And then with the small letters, experience and improve. I guarantee you there will be frustrations, but the future is bright. Another issue which I feel is really important, which I've seen these days, and it has actually been confirmed by the other ones, and that is actually that I think Norway has a unique opportunity. We have standards that other doesn't have. We have, of course, people that other countries don't have. We have skills, we have software, we have projects, and so on and so on. We have a unique position. And that has been stated over and over again by a lot of our foreign guests. And also the point that Jon made about this research opportunity, I think we have a tremendous potential here. And it's a pity that there are not more politicians actually in the audience today. And then I think it's also important to be aware that what we do in a project has consequences for a company, for a market, for an industry, for a nation, for a region, and even globally. And I'm not drunk. This is true. This is really true. And the reason for me putting up this green one, sorry about this, Patrick, but we were preparing this. And Patrick said to me that, do you know, Lars, I've been traveling. Sorry for taking this point from you. We were sitting there, and do you know, Lars, I've been traveling on these conferences for over 10 years' time. This is the best. This is the best. And that reminded me about the Olympics. Basically, that what about we as a nation being the Olympic champion in IFC? And if we're going to be Olympic champions, do it. You too. Thank you for being here.
Very well done. Wow. Is this on? Yes. Thank you. It's okay if you take some of my speech. I think everybody here would agree I talk too much. I did mean it. When I talked to Lars, I've been doing this for 10 years now, and never have I seen a true demonstration of the reality of interoperability, IFCs, and building smart like today. This is now. The other way to think about this is let's take the word try away. I think just do it. I wish some things. Here we are, we've had this wonderfully attended group. We've got 2 more days tomorrow, a business meeting for the IAI. I understand now I can speak some Norwegian. It's EIE, is that right? EIE. So that means the AIA is really the AIA, right? Okay. Okay. I wish my government officials could see what I saw. I wish. I wish more politicians in Norway could see what we saw. I actually wish my partners at HOK, how would you say it in Norwegian? HOK?
HOK.
HOK. HOK. It probably wouldn't work in California, but I wish my partners at HOK could see what I see. and hear and see this put into practice. Now it's real. I am amazed. I thought this was going to be a good meeting, coming to Norway. I did not realize how advanced it would be. I'm just, how do you say blown away in Norwegian? Something, you all understand.
This is a challenge. Fjetret.
I'm not sure I should say that. It might be bad. So I thank all of you. I thank all of the presenters for all the hard work, and I want to single out a few of you for organizing this here in Oslo. First, and you will love this, I'm going to say Norwegian names. So if you don't understand, just ask and I'll try again. Okay, Jens Schaggren, are you here? Please stay standing. Thank you. Thank you. These are, it's difficult if we really put all the people on this stage who have been responsible for this 2 days and all this week, the stage would be full. Plus, I don't know how to say all these names, but let me add some more others. Yen, you're really involved in the Industry Association for Residential Buildings, which I think has wonderful application. Kjell Avar Bakamon. For those who live here, you probably already know. For those who don't, Kjell is an architect like me, better looking, but still an architect like me, working on Ahus, which is the University Hospital project. Bjorn Stangeland. I like that name. I can say that one. Bjorn. Bjorn is a software vendor, as we all could see, and he has the idea of interoperability. It's what your mother taught you. You have to share. So we all share information, and everybody benefits. It's a wonderful lesson, and Bjorn, thank you. I have to say, when Bjorn told us in, I think it was Singapore, that you were going to do this, we had some doubt. No, we had some skepticism. It's a nice word that means we're not sure we believe you. But it's been more than fulfilled. There's been a lot of work by the building officials, the BE staff here, especially, and forgive me in advance, Eivind Root. Are you here, Eivind? There he is. And I know that you've put a tremendous amount of work in, and your staff. So rather than have them come up, if the staff from the BE staff is here, could you all please stand for a moment and let us recognize you? BE staff, are you there? Are you all passed out in the lobby? Yeah, I know. Well, let's give a hand anyway to the BE staff. Thank you. Thank you. And then finally, I would like to thank, I made a little joke before about the Nordic chapter is really 4 chapters, and every chapter gets 2 votes. They wanted 8. We only said you could have 2. I didn't really mean that. Did I? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But I do know that in addition to these gentlemen, that the other members of the board here of this Norway chapter have put in a huge amount of effort. So other members who have been working on this project and this week, in behalf of all of us, we want to thank you. If you could just stand and be recognized, please. Don't be shy. They're all more shy than the rest of you. So the lesson that I take from this is real. There are real people doing this in many places. Right here in Oslo, I think you have a chance to be a modern-day equivalent of the Vikings. Now you can export. And there's a world out there to be conquered, a world of interoperable solutions and building models. And come right on over. We're happy to have you. So thank you all very much for making this what it has been. Even though I thought I was past surprises, I'm quite taken and quite in awe of this. So thank you all, and thank you all for attending. This has been a wonderful session. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.